right, so Lonnie Marts, great to have you here. And this is my first time meeting you in person, although I know a lot about you because I used to cover the team when you played here in Jacksonville. So tell me about your organization and why you felt it necessary to start one.
Well, Level Up Playing Field Leadership Academy was started because my mom and I, she raised me, single mom, and I was taught that, hey, the way to get out of poverty is through athletics.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great build, your body, that's going to take you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. And I realized that I was one of the fortunate few that did that. But once I finished my career, NFL and everything, I was asked to sit on a sports and entertainment board here in Jacksonville.
Okay, very
and
good.
I had nothing to add.
Wow.
I absolutely, after 11 years of playing football, NFL football, I had nothing to add. And that struck me as, if I had nothing to add after 11 years trying to get back into the community, what happens when our young men, who we know athletics ends, and it usually ends abruptly. It doesn't end when you say it's done.
Right.
It ends when someone else says it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do they need? I've sat in many locker rooms and wondered, what is that young man going to do once he's cut?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's no good, you know, and it's not the lifelong dream that he's had. It doesn't happen. And so for me, it was, how do I make sure that alongside the athletics, I can come in and train young men that have their God-given abilities that are different from athletics? Can I train them to do those things and make sure that they have a pivot foot when that day comes that athletics end?
Were you satisfied when it was time to go?
I wasn't. I was not. I wanted to play a couple more years. I wanted to get a, yeah. And it's in you, you know, it's in you. It's never going to stop, but you tend to kind of slow it down as you get out. But it bothered me. It took me about a couple years to even start watching football again.
Yeah. So what are some of the other challenges you see with young men who are athletes now? It's changed from when you played, when you were coming through high school and college. I know it's certainly changed when I played high school ball. It is difficult for me to understand all of the opportunities that are out there for these students, these young men. It's got to be challenging for them too.
It is. And you know, three things that we really concentrate on with our young men. We worry about academics, because you got to be a learner, not just educate. You got to be a learner. You got to learn anywhere they put you. Then you got to worry about the people that you hang around, your peer group, you know. And then the next thing is young ladies. Young ladies will be an issue. And so that social aspect, you have to make sure you're coaching them, just like you're coaching them to be good at football, good at basketball. You want to make sure you're spending that extra time. Say, hey, here's some of the things that are going to be a snare, a trap. And those are the things that I see right now with athletes. And social media, a lot of people say social media is so bad, but social media is really good. And it does provide, you know, a platform for our athletes to be a little bit more, be seen quicker, but it also allows the bad things to happen just as fast.
Right.
And sometimes where it would have took a week to get out, now it's out within minutes. And you have to be careful. And so they have to be taught.
Right. I was talking having a conversation with a young man. He's a 5-star. He's going to play D1 at a top 5 school, Power 5 school. And he was telling me that social media, he was in the 7th grade when he got noticed by college scouts, right? And he became, relevant on social media because of certain things he was doing at a very young age. Made it easy for him to be on the radar. What are some of the kids telling you about their presence in that space?
I think you see it now when you look at how much the draft choices, the NFL draft picks, they're on social media immediately. I've seen guys go into the locker room at halftime and get on their phones and basically post things.
Right.
And you're like, aren't you supposed to be talking to the coach? Or but they're on there posting. And so what I'm hearing is, it is a great avenue platform, but I think what you have to make sure of is that you stay positive all the time. And some people's positive is not the other person. So there's varying degrees. But right now, that social media, I
they're building their brand as much as they are.
They are
honing their craft.
And it's great to build your brand, but make sure that your brand is doing something outside of just the game. Because once the game ends, you still have that brand. And you don't want that brand all tangled and tied up into, if you're out on the field, that's where it's at. They love you then. they're not going to love you when you get off the field and you're not playing the field. So make sure that brand has multiple avenues that they can travel. We talk about academics. I mean, we have a number of our boys they're great with computers. They understand and thinking, let's cultivate that right now while you're playing ball, so that when ball ends, or you can do what you want to do, especially when you have those networking opportunities. Hey, build some familiarity with what's going on in the office around. One of the things I want to do is I would love to have our boys be owners.
Yeah.
I want you to sit at the
That's
table.
it.
I want you to sit at the table, and I want you to make rules, laws, pass them so that it works for us and it betters us.
You are finding a way to introduce that type of I don't know, curriculum or to them now, or what are some of the components of your leadership?
Well, I'll say this right now. In working with My Village Project and Ronnie King, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, how about, because I have an inroad with a company at the Jags or that works with the Jags, Zebra Sports. They're the ones that do all the stat and statistics of the game. And so when you see that, you think, okay, how can I actually give our boys a chance to be a part of this? Because what we don't see is the game that's happening around the game is much bigger than we think. And so we're out on the field and we're running around. And I always say, if you're able to pay me $100 million, how much are you making?
I learned that when I was in the press box.
Exactly.
At the time, covering the Jags, it was interesting how so many things were happening at one time in just that environment, right?
Yeah.
And that environment, there weren't a lot of black people up there. Mainly most of the black reporters were from the visiting teams.
Yes.
And so even the staff and people who are working doing various things, it's a world that we're not really introduced to on that level.
And so that's what we do. We're going to start to have the boys come with me, visit, see what we do on a game day, see what happens around the field on a game day, and then start to say, hey, I'm really good with numbers. Can I get into the statistics of this? Yes, I think you can. How about we do an internship program and just pass it along to them and say, hey, Zebra, would you mind taking a couple of our boys for the summer and showing them, introducing them to what you do? Because they're good at certain things and they're good at other things than just playing football. But we would like them to be in the pipeline. So we're trying to create a pipeline.
Right. That sounds exciting because, we all mine came early, right? And so a lot of these young men have a difficult time facing that it's not going to happen for them. What do you say to them when that happens?
I say that, again, it happens to everyone. But what I need you to understand is that if it doesn't happen for you, you truly have something else you can do that keeps you around the game. And you don't have to give up your dream. And most of the time is you got a little fame out there, but they really want to be secure, income-wise, and be able to take care of their family and live their dreams. So you don't realize that you can do those things without being out on the field. Because there's guys who fly in, look at the game, do this, that, do that, fly out. And they live in places that we can't get into. But if you don't ever see that, you don't think it's really available to you. And so, again, you may not make it, and more times than not, you won't. But let's cultivate something outside of playing on the field.
I have a buddy who runs the clock.
Yeah, and
the clock.
You'd be like, oh, they run the clock?
Yeah.
How much he make for running the clock? Well, the officials, the referees, they literally hand those jobs down to their kids. I'm like, okay, so how much do you make? And when you find out, you're like, okay, I see why you hand them down.
Do you work with the schools and connect with the schools, or your program is set outside of that space?
My program is out of school programming because I know we have a lot of school programs already, and I am literally, as Ronnie said, it's like an experiment. I'm taking 15 boys. It's a cohort, and I'm going to train these 15 boys in everything I know, what I've seen, and then I'm going to introduce another cohort after 2 years and do the exact same thing.
Wow,
the idea is to be with our boys, supporting them, cohort after cohort, from 10 and 13 all the way to 22. And I say 22 because many African American homes, they say 18, get out. You know, but I have 5 kids, and my 22-year-old, he's still not ready. So I know when.
I know how that feels.
Well, yeah, and you need that help. You know, you need that little extra. So, we basically bring boys in middle school, and we look in the 32209 zip code, but we find that it branches out to all zip codes. Yeah. It's not just 32209, and so we pick 15 boys, bring them in, and we support them all the way to 22.
Okay. So. Okay. Well, thanks for being here with us, and we appreciate the time. We're going to be keeping an eye on what we're going to do is we're going to come out and check you out with the kids and see what's going on. And
great.
And revisit because we want everybody to know what you're doing.
That's awesome. I love it.
All right. Great.
Thank you.